When's the last time you said something true to your partner and you didn't edit it first? Not softened it, not waited for the right moment, not decided it wasn't worth the fight. Just said the actual thing you were thinking. If you had to pause just now, that pause is worth paying attention to. Because what I want to talk to you about today isn't the conflict-avoidant partner. I've done that episode. Today, I want to talk to you about the one who is doing the walking on eggshells. Maybe that's you. Maybe you've been editing yourself for so long, you've forgotten what your unfiltered voice even sounds like. This is the episode for the person who keeps the peace and quietly pays the price for it. So go grab a warm drink and let's dive in. Welcome to Relationship Reset, a podcast for high-achieving couples who've been together for over a decade and don't want to feel like roommates anymore. I'm Katie Rustler, relationship strategist and couples counselor with almost 20 years of experience helping ambitious couples reconnect, strengthen communication, and turn their relationship into the best part of their success story. This podcast is about using practical tools and a lot of real talk to help you understand your patterns, stop feeling stuck and discouraged, and start working on your relationship in ways that actually fit your busy life. Because your relationship shouldn't be the cost of your success, it should be the best part of it. So let's dive in. I want to share with you about a client I was working with about 5 years ago. She was in her late 40s. She ran a department within her company, and she was managing teams and deadlines and other people's crises like a professional. Like, she just was amazing at what she did. And at home, she was very thoughtful, very kind. Some might say people-pleasing. And she learned somewhere along the way not to bring things up with her partner unless she calculated the cost. Is he in a good mood? Is it the right night? Did something stressful happen at work for him today? Is this going to spiral into a fight that takes 3 days to recover from? She didn't call it walking on eggshells. She called it being considerate. She called it picking her battles or being smart about timing. But here's what actually was happening. This woman was managing her partner's emotional reactions instead of having a relationship with him. And that distinction between managing and connecting is exactly what we need to address today. So it doesn't matter whatever your professional background is. You guys have heard me say this. You can be so amazing at communication and leading teams, getting everybody on the same page and reaching deadlines, but you'll still come home and act a completely different way because your home is a very different environment. Walking on eggshells isn't about your partner. It's about what you've learned. Here's something I want you to sit with. The habit of shrinking your truth to keep the peace didn't start with your partner. It started a long time before them. In my work with couples, I teach a concept called the adaptive child. It comes from Terry Real. It's that part of you that figured out somewhere in childhood how to survive the emotional climate of your home. Maybe you learned that things were smoother when you didn't push back. Maybe raising your voice got you in trouble. Maybe your feelings were dismissed as too much or too sensitive or not worth the disruption. So you adapted. You got quiet. You got strategic. You got really good at reading the room because reading the room felt safer than expressing what you actually needed. That was smart of you then. It was genuinely protective. The problem is that your adaptive child is still driving in your relationship, and your partner isn't your parent. The rules have changed, but you're still playing by the old ones. See, the eggshells aren't really there. They're a projection of a nervous system that learned to expect danger in emotional moments. That's not your partner's fault, and it's not yours either, but it's yours to change. There's a hidden cost of constantly trying to keep the peace. And listen up if you're the peacekeeper in your relationship. It's exhausting. And over time, it erodes exactly what you're trying to protect. When you consistently hold back what's true for you, when you edit your opinions, swallow your frustrations, stay vague about what you want, your partner doesn't actually experience you. They experience a curated version of you, and intimacy can't grow in that space. What I see in my practice is this: the partner who walks on eggshells doesn't feel safe expressing frustration, so it doesn't disappear. It pools up inside of them. And eventually that pool becomes resentment. That resentment becomes distance, and distance becomes the thing both of them are trying to explain to me when they finally come in. At the beginning, it was, I'm not going to say that thing, or I'm going to be careful and edit myself because I'm walking on eggshells, because I don't want to cause reaction in my partner that leads us to be in a bad space together, right? The distance to occur. But what's happening over time is it's adding up and the distance is happening. Now, here's an even harder question to sit with. Have you ever noticed you feel more like yourself at work or with your friends than you do at home with your partner? That's the signal. That's worth paying attention to. And look, there's a difference between timing and avoidance. It's like the difference between choosing a good moment to have a hard conversation and never having the conversation at all. Good timing is emotionally intelligent. Avoidance is fear-driven, and they can look identical from the outside, but they feel completely different on the inside. If you ask yourself, is this a good time? And the honest answer is, I'm waiting for a moment that will never come because I'm scared of what happens if I say this. That's avoidance. That's your adaptive child at the wheel. I love how Esther Perel talks about how desire and intimacy require a certain amount of risk. You can't feel genuinely close to someone you're managing. Real connection requires you to be willing to say that thing that might land badly. So what do we do? If you're walking on eggshells, you're probably like, yeah, okay, now I see it. So what am I supposed to do? Here are 3 things you can start this week. Number 1, name the pattern. Stop pointing the finger at the person. The next time you catch yourself editing before you speak, I want you to try this. Instead of suppressing the thought or dumping it in full emotional intensity, name the pattern out loud to yourself first. I'm about to say something I've been sitting on for a while. That one sentence helps change the entry point. It gives your partner context. It lets them know something real is coming and they need to listen. And it signals to your own nervous system, okay, I'm safe enough to speak. We're going in. Number 2, get curious about your eggshells. Ask yourself, what am I actually afraid will happen if I say the true thing? Not the story about your partner, the real fear underneath. Am I afraid of a fight, silence, being told I'm too sensitive, being dismissed? When you can name the actual fear, you start to see whether that fear belongs to this relationship or whether it's older than that. Where did you learn to have this fear? Okay, number 3, start with something small. I'm not asking you to lead with the big thing in your next conversation. Start with one honest preference this week. What do you actually want for dinner? What do you actually want to do on Saturday? Not what do you think will make things easiest, what you actually want. Rebuilding your voice in a relationship starts in the small moments. You can't go from total silence to full transparency overnight, but you can practice speaking one true thing today. And you know what? I'm going to give you a 4th thing. I just want you to notice 3 moments in the coming week where you edit yourself. You don't have to do anything about them. Just catch them. Write them down if you can. And I want you to write down what was the true thing almost said, what stopped you, and what are you actually afraid would happen if you said it. That list is going to tell you more about your relationship than almost anything else. And in fact, I'd love for you to email me at info@katierussler.com what you find out and what patterns you notice so I can see if I've got some resources that will support you. Okay, here's what I want you to take away today. Walking on eggshells is not kindness, it's self-protection that has outlived its usefulness. And the relationship you want, the one where you feel genuinely known and genuinely close, requires you to be willing to show up as yourself, even when that feels risky. Your partner can't fall in love with a version of you that you've curated for their comfort. It's time for you and them to get to know the real you. So slowly start speaking your truth. Okay, I know this is a short and quick one this week, but I wanted to make sure you got to the core of what you can start to pay attention to in your patterns and how you can start to shift them. I'll see you next week. Before you go, I want to leave you with this. The effort you put into your relationship is one of the most important investments you'll ever make. How you communicate and grow together shapes your home, your leadership, and the example you set for the people around you. Relationship work is truly legacy work, and it quietly impacts more lives than we often realize. If this episode resonated, consider sharing it with someone you care about, a partner, a friend, or another couple who's building a full life and want their relationship to be the best part of it too. And if you're enjoying these conversations, make sure to follow or subscribe to Relationship Reset. Leaving a rating or review also helps this message reach more couples who are ready to grow with intention. I'll see you next week.